Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday morning service of the Sierra Foothills Unitarian Universalists. My name is Vicki Jungers, and I am a member of this congregation, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you all here this morning. For our service today, we're going to explore what it can mean to seek healing by practicing acceptance and finding peace with that acceptance for the many things that we are unable to change, due in particular to our captivity by this pandemic. I'm honored to be joined today by Patricia Leftridge, who is not just our amazing music director, but she is our worship associate today. We are also joined by Adrian Dills, our Director of Religious Education, and with deep gratitude from me to Suzanne Borth, who is running our tech today. But most importantly, we are joined by all of you, and you are all welcome here today. In the beauty of languages and cultures and skin tones that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the varied ways that you move through and interact with the world, you are welcome here. No matter the religious or ethical tradition that informs your spiritual life, you are welcome here. Whether you come feeling despair or hope for our world and its future, you are welcome here. No matter how long you've been away, nor how soon you will return, you are welcome here. You are invited today to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you all today. I would especially like to welcome any newcomers we have today. And while our Zoom worship is certainly not the same as being able to gather in person, the topical richness of every Sunday here resonates with the same love and care to support you on your spiritual journey. So if this is your first Sunday with us, I invite you to come and visit with us more than once to gain further connection with who we are as a faith and as a congregation. And I thought before we light our chalice this morning, I would invite you to connect to this moment, to this magical, peculiar, virtual technology and world that allows us to be together, to breathe and listen as we continue to explore the mystery.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, 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 gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near, Spirit draw near, Spirit draw near, Spirit draw near, Spirit draw near.
In our chalice lighting this morning, let us be inspired towards healing and acceptance with this poem, Guest House, by Rumi. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He or she may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. As we prepare to sing our opening hymn, I wanted you to know that my choices for music today were specifically selected to help offer tools to help us find peace, comfort, and acceptance during the days that lie ahead. This hymn speaks to me of our hope for the better days to come, the promises of being together again, and the patience to endure the wait. Join me now for our opening hymn, number 146, Soon the Day Will Arrive.
Soon that day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without wondering whether on that day thunder clouds will appear. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and our vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, and a promise to make a new start. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. If we care, you and me. If we care, you and me.
Good morning, everyone. So this morning, I would like to share a story about a little boy named Joey. Once upon a time, Joey was 2 years old. People say that the twos are terrible, and I think this might be why. Every so often, nearly every day in fact, Joey got really frustrated about something. He was old enough to want a lot of things, but not quite old enough to figure out how those things worked yet. Here's an example. Joey wanted to wear shorts, but his mother said it was cold outside. Joey cried, "I want my shorts." "I know you want them," said his mother, "but it's cold." Joey said, "I don't want pants." He started crying. Joey's mom put the pants on him anyway. Joey kicked and he yelled. "I'm so frustrated," he shouted. "Me too," said his mother. She pulled off the half-on pants. She picked Joey up, took him to the back door, and set him out on the porch. It turns out it was cold outside. Joey stopped crying. I know you don't like pants right now, said his mother, but we're going to wear them anyway. Joey said he wanted the red ones. His mother agreed. On another day, Joey's mom made soup for dinner. I want macaroni and cheese, said Joey. Maybe tomorrow, said his mother. I don't want soup, said Joey. Soup is our dinner, said his mother. It is good. But I don't want it, said Joey. It isn't good. He started to tear up and cry. Soup has lots of building blocks in it, said his mother, so that you can grow up nicely and have energy to play. Try it. You will like it. No, I will not like it, said Joey. I'm so frustrated. That's okay, said his mother. Try it anyway. Joey reluctantly took a mouthful. Soup was tasty, and it turns out Joey was hungry. He ate the whole bowl of soup. Another day, Joey wanted to stay awake, but his body was tired. He started doing crazy things to stay awake. He ran around the house. His mother said, Joey, it's bedtime. No, he shouted as he ran into another room. He smashed his toys together roughly. Jammies, said his mother. I'm not tired, Joey shouted as she tried to brush his teeth. Joey jumped on the bed. His mother said, Joey, your body is tired. It is bedtime. How do you know what my body wants? Joey pouted. You don't know. I do know, said his mother as she turned out the lights. Joey shouted, I'm so frustrated. But it was undoubtedly bedtime now. His mother tried singing a lullaby, but Joey shouted at her, Don't sing to me. So she stopped singing. Now here's the magical thing that happened just moments later in that dark room. Laying on his bed, Joey felt his body relax, and within a few breaths, he was deep asleep. In the morning, he apologized for yelling at his mother. The twos are full of frustrations just like this. And the truth is that we all get frustrated even when we've grown up. We're more likely to accept the fact that our body is tired or hungry or that it's cold outside, but there are a lot of other times that we don't want to accept what is happening. Fortunately, we have some skills that our caregivers helped us develop when we were little. Put a foot out in the cold, take a first bite anyway, or just turn out the lights and let our body tell us what it's been trying to say all along. The frustration is okay. It's just part of being human and wanting things. We also need to learn how to accept the conditions that cause our frustration to begin with. The end. Thanks for sharing some time with me.
Thank you, Adrienne. In this community of mutual care, we celebrate the great joys of life together. And we are also here to help share the burden of sorrows and grief. And as such, each week we share specific joys from the members in this community. We did not receive any specific joys or sorrows this week, but I will share a joy that I'm sure we all share of finally seeing the electoral map filled in. And I share the joy that my mother has joined us here today, because it's always a pleasure to have my mom with us. If at any time during the week you do have a joy or sorrow you would like to share on Sunday, you can email it to joysandsorrows@mysfuu.org at any time with what you would like to be shared. Holding all the joys and sorrows of this past week, including those left unsaid but still in our hearts, settle now your body and close your eyes into a time of meditation, reflection, and prayer. It is indeed a great mystery which holds us, grounds us, and surrounds us. For some, perhaps a divine presence known by many names. For others, the language of the great mystery comes through in many and varied ways. We hold in our hearts the love, the strength, and compassion for each person here and all around the earth who are moving in a time of year that traditionally would have brought us together and now may require us to be apart for the sacred times of Thanksgiving and the many spiritual winter celebrations that occur around the world. We hold also deeply the gratitude for the change of leadership that is happening in this country, even if we must push through the sorrow and anger and frustration that follows watching the next 2 months play out. We continue to pray for rain here in California and sustenance for all. We pray for a vaccine. We pray for the power of healing that sharing our love brings. I invite you now to continue in this place of reflection with hymn number 391, to remind you to listen to yourself, hear what you need to be able to sing your song.
Though still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, sing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain, singing, calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. Though still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain, singing, calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing.
March 2020, Friday the 13th, a day that will live in infamy for many a public school teacher. Having seen the news for more than 2 months, I should have known this was coming. But no, I was in denial. And then Friday the 13th, last minute rushing to disperse Chromebooks and different announcements coming every few minutes. Then the decision, school will transform into distance learning. Ugh. But I'm a happy Skippy gal. I can manage anything. I've been at this public school thing since 1980 or something, and I'm very techie, so no problem. I got this. Famous last words. My fellow teachers and I muddled through from March to the beginning of June. And while I didn't excel, I did above average and held my own, and I felt pretty good about it. And while videoing for SFUU was stressful, as no one I know likes to see themselves on camera on a weekly basis, I was learning new skills and improving my practice. I could do this. Surely if I held on, it would all be over soon, I bargained with the universe. I was getting by just fine, perfectly okay. So okay that I volunteered for summer school. Might as well, since the recording session I had planned for Abbey Road in England got canceled. Footnote, yes, I said the Abbey Road of Beatles fame. Couldn't go see my family in Belgium, so sure, I could teach summer school and learn a few new platforms of technology. 19 days of summer school flew by. It was very enjoyable. We read The Old Man and the Sea together and worked on all things English and technology. Then the dreaded news that the 2020-2021 year would start in distance learning. And because the state bureaucracy had had all summer to think about it, we had all new types of documentation we would also have to do. I was so upset. New forms, taking roll 3 different ways for 3 groups, and turning in individualized attendance for each student based on showing up online and work completion. I was angry, but I bargained. I can do this. I am stronger than any bureaucracy. I started strong, planning and working with my peers and keeping a stiff upper lip while still recording 2 to 4 songs weekly for SFUU and learning all about copyright law and video programs and streaming. And then I hit a wall. One new bureaucracy was added to my work and I flipped. I was depressed, angry, and wanted to quit. Not that I had that choice, as I sort of need my paycheck to pay bills, and especially now that my freelance business of gigging is gone and I'm out 20% of my income. I ended up in tears with my department chair and messing up several SFUU videos that had to be redone Saturday night right before Sunday, all in the same week. And then, just like after a hurricane leaves the area, there was stillness. I could either stay sobby and pouty and accomplish nothing, or put on my big girly pants and realize the true reality of new normal. We say it a lot, too much maybe, but to actually accept and embrace it for me was completely different. Acceptance, ugh. In looking back at my struggle, I clearly see all the stages of grief. Hindsight is so powerful. I was struggling and battling it the entire way, all the way up to acceptance. Looking back, I don't understand why I couldn't have accepted it sooner and been at peace, but alas, that is the power of time. My new normal is here. I've accepted it. I've embraced it. Okay, yes, it's a small side hug with only one arm, but I'm starting, baby steps. Learning to appreciate the calm after the storm of grief, as I see it now. It makes me understand the power of acceptance. Until I accepted my situation and I couldn't move on. Acceptance is necessary for growth. And while I see that now, I'll probably need some of you to remind me next time the hurricane comes.
Thank you, Patty. In this UU faith and our SFUU congregation, we believe it is important to draw the circle of connection widely so that we are not just spiritual seekers, but also people of a living faith that works for the good of others. Generosity is not just a part of this work, but it is also a part of the spiritual practice of this congregation. When we offer our time, our talents, and our treasure, we deepen our engagement and become part of building the beloved community together. As part of our ethic of generosity, we also split our collection plate with a local community organization aligned with our values. This month, the Share the Plate recipient is new for us, starting this last week in November, Sierra Streams Institute. The Institute is a watershed monitoring, research, and restoration group based in Nevada City. They support and believe in citizen science, community engagement, and education. They say this is how we are going to save the planet, one backyard, one community, and one watershed at a time. To support Sierra Streams and SFUU today, you can follow the link in the chat or navigate to our website, mysfuu.org, and click on the Give to SFUU button. Here you can donate to SFUU at any time for our Share the Plate program or directly to SFUU to pay your pledge. You can also download the app Give Plus Mobile, where all you have to do is create an account, put in our zip code, and select SFUU to give. Instructions and links are at the bottom of the Give page at mysfuu.org. And as always, you may mail donations and pledges directly to the church at our 190 Finley Street address. If this is one of your first times visiting us, please know that you are our honored guest and there is no expectation that you contribute. As we take our offering this morning, I again invite you to listen, feel the love of this community, and to consider how to draw your circle wider, how to continue your connections to one another, even as we continue to shelter in place. Our offering will now be taken and gratefully received.
Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. When I was in junior high and high school in the late 60s, early 70s, you could find that prayer in every Spencer gift shop, either lit up with all the other posters in the black light room, perhaps carved into a flat rock, or maybe printed on a t-shirt or a keychain. I don't know if all of you know what a Spencer gift store is, but it was a store back then that was definitely known as a cool hippie stuff type store. You could buy posters that said peace and love or keep on trucking. You could find gag gifts and beaded curtains, black lights, and lava lamps. And if you looked hard enough, you could find philosophical thought. That is where I first saw this prayer. It is referred to as the Serenity Prayer. And I know most of us have heard it more than once in our lifetimes. In preparation for the service today, as several life experiences these past months have led me to tackle coming to peace with things I cannot change, I remembered this poem and knew it touched deeply on that which I wanted to speak, so I wanted to find out a little bit more about it. And it turns out if you look stuff up, you can find stuff out. The man that is credited with this prayer was a man named Karl Paul Reinhold Nyber. He was an American Reformed theologian and ethicist, and was actually considered one of America's leading public intellectuals during his lifetime, and he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1964. He was a man who spoke frequently about the intersection of religion, politics, and public policy. And the more I read about him, the more fascinating I found his story, as he was a Protestant minister who in the 1920s held strong sympathies with the working class. He shared a deep commitment to pacifism and socialism, and said this in a 1944 book, Children of Light and the Children of Darkness. He said, man's capacity for justice makes democracy possible, but man's inclination to injustice is what makes democracy necessary. And that statement really has nothing to do with what I wanted to talk about today, but it was such a profound statement for the times that we live in today, that I wanted to share that. He is attributed with this prayer in 1936, even though his original words were, Father, give us courage to change what must be altered, serenity to accept what cannot be helped, and the insight to know the one from the other. The God grant me serenity prayer is not really attributed to anyone in particular, as it just morphed through popular culture. It turns out that shortly after he died in 1971, his simple but eloquent prayer became a topic of study for the author Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged. I have never read Atlas Shrugged, but I'm familiar with Ayn Rand, and she was not just an author, but she was a philosopher. And in the times which she lived, the late 50s, 60s, and 70s, she was apparently an outspoken atheist. In 1974, she wrote an essay, The Metaphysical versus the Man-Made, in which she commented on this prayer, arguing that the mental attitude that is merely wished for in prayer is often attributed as gifts from God. But she believed that the achievement of the mental attitude in the prayer is that which rational human beings must constantly seek to achieve. More plainly put, she said, we are creatures of free will and are able to shape our lives and our moral character through the choices we make in life. She further stated, the statement is beautiful in its eloquent simplicity, but the achievement of that attitude involves philosophy's deepest metaphysical moral issues. Now, a philosopher I am not. But reading about these two very different people who were both liberal thinkers and career philosophers, I started to think about free will and wanted to look up what it meant, what the term metaphysical moral issues meant. And in doing so, I discovered that metaphysical naturalism is a philosophical worldview which is basically a science worldview. It holds that there is nothing but natural elements, principles, and relations of the kind studied by natural sciences. And as such, perhaps all our gifts come not from God or a higher power, but from within our own hearts and minds. But where does any of this lead to learning to how to heal through acceptance? I guess where it leads to is I truly believe that learning to develop both patience and the practice of acceptance is ultimately the only way we are all going to make it through to a time without COVID. That developing an attitude and an ability to not fight back against that which cannot be changed is the greatest tool that we have to start on the path towards healing and being spiritually and mentally healthy in the days to come. We know that attitude is often everything. Attitude can help us heal through loss, pain, humiliation, and disappointment. And an attitude of acceptance offers the likely most peaceful approach to getting to where you need to go. I also believe that learning healthy acceptance will help us all in the great work that is ahead of us in this country. The soul of our nation has indeed been wounded, and it will take acceptance and strength to learn to work together once we can actually be together again. People who study grief talk about the stages of grief, that people process grief in similar ways, regardless of what has been or is in the process of being lost. One first lives in denial, moving to anger and then bargaining, feeling depressed, and finally reaching acceptance. In recognition of these elements and the reality of grief could not be more important as tools in our lives right now, as we have all globally lost the lives we used to know to the reality of the life we are all living right now. In Patty's reflection, she realized at some point that the rebellion of her feelings could not move her forward. And yet once she could put a name to her feelings and recognizing her grief, helped the hurricane she was feeling blow past so that she could finally listen to the silence after the storm and embrace the new normal. We have all been shaken to our core of what was normal and what is now not normal. This pandemic has altered everyone's lives in innumerable ways, and we must all learn to weather the current storm. And I think it's important to embrace acceptance as a way of both staying healthy and moving into the healing that will come. Yet embracing acceptance is a challenging path to follow. As COVID cases ravage this country in growing numbers every day, my mind and heart can find no peace when I consider the holidays. While I have a more comfortable risk tolerance than my husband, meaning in my heart, I believe I am safe and he is safe and we can have our children home for the holidays, his risk tolerance is less than mine. And while he and I live safely and more isolated and sheltered in place, our young people are less so. Our daughter's an ER nurse who would need to fly. Our other daughter is active in Los Angeles and her life puts her in regular contact with many people, even though I believe she practices COVID safety. I want them to come home and social distance in the house and not have to wear a mask. He worries if we don't wear masks in our home, we are pressing our luck. I think we can be safe purely because I want to believe it, not because it's so. We try to reach a compromise and it never feels that there is the right one. And so we go round and round because acceptance of the other's point of view feels very difficult. And in these moments, I feel exactly like the 2-year-old in Adrian's story. I want it. I want it my way. I want it so badly. I want a normal Thanksgiving. I want a normal Christmas. I want to wrap my arms around my children and snuggle on the couch and build gingerbread houses and relive all the traditions that make our holidays holy. I don't want to listen to the wise parent. I just want what I want with a longing so deep it hurts. But maybe this year I don't get what I want. Maybe I too need to put on my big girl panties and do what is right for the health of my family, not what feels right for its heart. And that is the part that is killing me, for I have always led with following what is right for the heart in my life. Learning to accept that I cannot do that during this time is a difficult and challenging lesson for me. As both Patty and Adrian related, when we learn to accept what is happening and use the skills we have been given throughout life for dealing with disappointment, we can accept all the feelings, that they are all not only valid, but they are the beauty of that which makes us loving beings. That we can accept our disappointment and recognize our grief over the losing so much that is beyond our control. And one of the beautiful things about recognizing our challenges is we learn new ways to cope and find beauty and new ways to grow. I have witnessed so many from this congregation turn to art or political justice or taking long walks or putting service to this congregation or to other people in the community as ways to reach past this time of isolation and frustration and find new ways to accept and heal and move forward. I seek to witness these things from others to continue to create my own path forward. And so many of you inspire me every single day. So as you move forward into this Sunday and the holiday season ahead, be gentle with yourselves. Change what you can and accept what you cannot. But do so with gentleness for your pain and joy for your achievements. I heard a statement recently that has resonated with me through these days. Success is an endeavor that is not final, and failure in any given moment is not fatal. Acceptance will help us weather them both. As we opened our service today, I will close with reminding you of the words from Rumi. No matter the feelings or challenges that come into your heart, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. May it be so. I invite you now to sing with us. And I know it's weird when you're muted and you're sitting at home, but I know if you're like me, we miss the singing. And I invite you now to sing with us our closing hymn, number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, We are blessed with love and amazing grace when our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place.
When we trust the wisdom in each of us and listen with a loving mind, may we find the acceptance we need to continue on our path of healing until we can be together again. If you'll join me now in our closing words and extinguish of our chalice, as we go forth, may we carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. Blessed be.